There's a well-known myth that every time an episode of Dragon Ball drops, the cartel activity decreases significantly. Is it true? No. But its existence alone serves as a funny, if not hyperbolic, way to demonstrate the significance of Dragon Ball across Latin America. But how did we get here? It's at least partially due to Mexican television back in the 90s, specifically on public access channels like Canal 5. These were free TV stations that had lower budgets, meaning they needed cheap shows that were still going to pull good ratings. Shows like cartoons. American cartoons like He-Man and Thundercats were immensely popular at the time, but were more expensive and came with more publishing restrictions. So, these public access stations usually opted for cheaper Japanese anime. Canal 5 specifically would strike a deal with Toei Animation to acquire the rights to dub and redistribute a little-known show called Dragon Ball. And well, the rest is history. Behind me is Tacos Goku, a taqueria in Oaxaca known for its giant mural of Goku Otro Instinto in the back of the restaurant. While this might just seem like a funny gimmick to write off, it is again another example of how culturally significant a piece of media becomes when you make it inexpensive and widely accessible to the public. And while the internet has accelerated our ability to access media on demand, there is an equal, if not larger, opposing force at play that seeks to restrict that access. This applies to music, movies, games. What it means to own these things is changing. And through the lens of modern gaming, I want to talk about how we might slowly be losing access to our media. Let's get into it. I grew up back in the Stone Age, known as the 2000s, where streaming hadn't really taken off just yet. If I wanted to watch a movie or play a game at home, it was most easily accessible through a tangible asset. If you wanted to watch hit 2005 movie Robots, you had to go to Blockbuster and rent a disc. And if they were out, well then, no anti-fanny for you, you dirty dog. But as the internet matured, we saw a shift in ownership from physical to digital. Pioneers like Steam let you download software directly to your computer instead of needing a physical disc to play a game. Early on, piracy ran rampant and companies were scrambling to find a way to fight back. And that's where EULAs come in. This is a contract in place to protect the company's bottom line. By playing a game, you implicitly sign it and agree to the rules and the consequences laid out by the publisher. So what? I mean, everyone's selling my data anyway. Why should I care? I'm so glad you asked, because it's actually right there in the name. End user license agreement. And that L word is the important one. Let's take a look at an example of how an EULA has been used in the past. Like in 2015, when Konami released Playable Teaser, which was a demo for an upcoming game called Silent Hills. Silent Hills got canceled, not like that, and was pulled from the store, meaning that unless you already had it downloaded, you had lost access to it forever. And Konami had drafted their EULA such that at any point in time, they reserved the right to terminate or revoke access with no prior notice, which is exactly what they did. I want you to imagine this level of consumer protection in any other industry. It's like a server taking your food away before you're done eating. While it's important to call out that PT was a free demo, it set a very scary precedent. Who's to say in the future that a publisher just can't start monetizing a game that was marketed as free to play? And the people who've tried to fight against these measures, at least in the US, have gone to court and lost. Like a case where Blizzard sued a group of Diablo players who tried to reverse engineer the game and play it for free. The court ruled in Blizzard's favor, stating that trying to reverse engineer software is illegal, even if you're not selling it or if it's for media preservation purposes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and white knight for Blizzard since there's already someone who loves to do that, but part of this ruling makes sense. That being said, there's a lot more nuance here than someone providing a game/service and people finding a way to not pay for it. This ruling established the power dynamic between people who sell the games and people who play them. It enables publishers to decide what you do or don't own. And spoiler alert, you don't own any of it, because paying $60, sometimes $70, $80 for a game nowadays does not constitute ownership. It's more akin to renting a ticket to play the game until the developer decides otherwise. Access to media, and in this case video games, should be in the hands of the consumer and not those with the power to perpetually profit off of restricting access to it. Another part of this case I don't want to gloss over is the piece on media preservation, because again, it sets a precedent against people like Epic NG who are just trying to preserve obscure parts of video game history. And that's the point that I'm working towards here, that not only gaming, but media as a whole is becoming more restricted. We're being forced to exercise our rights through vehicles like petitions because of this massive consolidation of money and power that we're seeing across industries. This isn't just M&A activity. These are conscious decisions made with the intention of lowering the number of alternatives we have to choose from. And while gaming is a form of escapism, it's very often influenced by the very real fiscal and political decisions of those in power. Wait a minute, Jack. You say my games are getting political. Are you telling me they're getting more woke, goddammit? Well, I'd like to point out that yes, the games you're playing about war and late stage capitalism are in fact political. That's not really what I'm getting at here. We're talking a bit more broadly than that. Ever since the supreme leader took office, you've probably been inundated with news coverage on the word tariffs, and that's more what we're talking about here. It's gotten so bad to the point where Nintendo had to move 50% of their console manufacturing from China to Vietnam. But wait a second, Jack. That was back in 2019, when Trump also tried to levy tariffs against China. A decision that was so unpopular and made so little economic sense that it caused the three mortal enemies of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo to band together and petition the literal government for an exemption. Now, they didn't do that out of the kindness of their own hearts, but more so to protect their bottom lines. And I'm bringing that up more to explain just how powerful lobbying is within this country. I also bring it up to share that we're kind of in a tariffs to electric boogaloo situation, but this time it's worse. And I say worse because we're starting to see the downstream effects of what these tariffs are going to do. Like back in May, when Microsoft announced that the Xbox is going to become more expensive. And yes, you heard me right. A console that came out in 2020 is becoming more, not less expensive. I'd like to call out that even though the tariffs are paused as of writing this video, they're still having tangible effect on the market. And speaking of selling games, it's important to note that software and subscriptions are somewhat resilient to tariffs, meaning that companies are being incentivized towards selling things digitally instead of physically. And this just worsens that problem I was talking about before with EULAs and ownership. You're stuck between a rock and a harder rock where not just gaming, but media as a whole is becoming a premium luxury that you need to pay for every month instead of an approachable hobby. We can see through the actions of companies, be it through their EULAs or through their predatory monetization, that they want everything to be a premium paid for privilege. Oh, hey man, you work here? I'm trying to buy this console here. Oh, yeah, that's chill, man. Just so you know, Xboxes are like about 20% more expensive than what they used to be. Is that cool? I mean, shit, man. I guess I'll pay it. I just want to play SWAT with my brothers, really. Ooh, yeah. If you want to play Halo online, that's gonna be another $20. You gotta pay every month. The games we play are more than just silly pastime. They are products of meticulous and sometimes malicious business practices intended to maximize a company's quarterly earnings. Companies that will lobby for political legislation to help them sustain a power imbalance where they own everything they want to watch, play, or access. And because of the cross-industry consolidation of money and power into what is a thinly veiled oligarchy, you, the consumer, are being forced to pay more to own less. We are quickly approaching the Rubicon of consumers losing their ability to choose an alternative. You should pay close attention to where you're spending your money, not only to boycott shady business practices, because you never truly know where your money could be going. Hey, thanks for making it this far into the video. I truly, truly appreciate it. This video is not sponsored, so if you liked what you saw and want to see more from me and the channel, it would mean the world to me if you considered leaving a like, subscribing, or maybe a thought or two down in the comments below. I want to do this full time, and support from people like you watching really means more to me than you know. So thanks again for sticking around, and be good, stay safe, don't do anything I wouldn't do. See ya.